One, it's official. It's white women. The problem is white women. Two, a ballroom's going up at the White House and peanut allergies are going down. We break it down with the hosts of the Ruthless variety program. Three, whatever happened to cocaine in the White House? We ask Miranda Devine. It is Will Cain Country on a Tuesday, where we ask what happened to peanut allergies and what happened to cocaine. But in order to get into all of that, we have to start with what is happening in New York City and what is happening with white women. Let's get into it with story number one. No Kings rally, coast to coast, city to city. One of the images that you would see in one of the worst displays came from notably white women. When yesterday I was hosting the Will Cain Show on the Fox News channel, showing some of the various videos from the No Kings rally, I got a text from an old friend who will remain nameless. And that old friend said to me, thank you. Thank you for telling the truth. Thank you for showing that a lot of this, what we're seeing, is coming from and coming down to white women. At the same time, we're asking what's happening in America. Most acutely, what's happening in New York City? How are we set to elect the leading candidate for mayor of the most cosmopolitan center of the United States of America, an immigrant Muslim who suggests that we should take down Western civilization, an avowed socialist and obvious communist, Zohran Mamdani? Well, new polling out of New York shows exactly who is into Zohran. Here's what the polling suggests. Breaking it down by borough, interestingly, Zohran Mamdani performs best in Brooklyn and Manhattan, where in Manhattan he has 47% of the vote, and in Brooklyn he looks to gain 55% of the vote. We could turn that over to the Brooklyn Brunch Crew and we could ask Two-A-Days Dan, but what that says to me is hipsters. Is it hipster white women? Let's keep going into the polling. Breaking it down by religion, Zohran Mamdani currently has 29% among Catholics. Andrew Cuomo pulling 41%. Zohran Mamdani has 30% among Jewish. Andrew Cuomo 63%. But when it comes to Protestants, Zohran Mamdani has 48% compared to Andrew Cuomo's 32%. Hipster Protestants. Now let's break it down by gender. Zohran Mamdani, 36% male, 49% female. Andrew Cuomo, 31 and 34. Hipster, Protestant, white women from Brooklyn and Manhattan. That seems to be the group supporting Zohran Mamdani. But what is most notable, the most support that he is getting in New York, actually doesn't come from a Protestant, doesn't come from a native New Yorker. The most outstanding support for Zohran Mamdani comes from those born somewhere else than America. Native-born population of New York, Zohran Mamdani, 31%. Andrew Cuomo, 40%. Foreign-born population, Zohran Mamdani, 62%. Andrew Cuomo, 24%. He's simply getting the vote of people who are not from originally the United States of America. This was broken down further, according to an IZA report and Patriot polling. Patriot polling from October 18th to October 19th suggests among American-born New Yorkers, Andrew Cuomo leads Zohran Mamdani 40-31. Among foreign-born New Yorkers, Mamdani leads Cuomo 62-24. Douglas Mackey, famously arrested for posting a meme, posted the truth on X. Douglas Mackey wrote, they literally imported a new voter base to vote a Ugandan-born Indian Muslim naturalized citizen into power. This is your New York. Thanks to the Immigration Act of 1965, Reagan amnesty, and the Immigration Act of 1990 under George H.W. Bush. People not originally from America are voting in a politician that does not represent the values of America. That's just one of the costs. One of the costs of unfettered immigration. Not just illegal immigration, but unfettered immigration. When you open your borders and you open your refugee status, when you open your welfare rolls to people across the globe, what happens? Well, we have a new study out of the Netherlands that tells you exactly what happens. When you import people from across the world, they can be a net drain or a net gain on your economy, on your government services, and it matters. It matters from where they come. It matters their country. It matters their region in this world. Take a look at this breakdown of a now IZA study out of the Netherlands from 2024. Posted on the End Wokeness X stream. Here's the lifetime contribution per immigrant. If that immigrant to the Netherlands comes from North America, they are a net $573,000 increase to government services and the government, to the economy. Scandinavian immigrants, 555,000 plus. Oceania, 476,000. Japan, 525. UK, 481. However, if those immigrants come from Somalia, the Caribbean, the Middle East, and Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, this is what it looks like. If they come from Central and North Africa, negative $700,000 drain over the course of their lifetime. Sub-Saharan Africa, $730,000 drain. Latin America, negative $271,000. Middle East, negative $624,000. Caribbean, negative $675,000. And Somalia, negative $1.1 million. It's as though you can't just invite the entire third world into your country without it becoming somewhat representative of the third world. You can't invite in migrants and refugees and expect that they become contributing members of your existing culture and society. And it bears out in the numbers in Netherlands. That's an argument not just to fight illegal immigration, but to have a cohesive policy when it comes to immigration. And that's the way it always was. That was the idea. Yes, quotas. Yes, political debates. From where? How many? To where? What benefits the United States of America? For some reason, that debate, very serious and real policy debate, but one that has lasting impact on your culture, is one that now is dismissed as xenophobic, jingoistic, racist. And yet it's one that every forefather and every forebear that we had literally debated. But all of a sudden the Western world says, no, whatever, from wherever. Tolerance. Even when you invite in intolerance. You invite in people who do not share your values, and what happens? They adopt your values or they change your values. What we're seeing in the UK is quite clear. We know what's happening in the UK. And wait to see what happens in New York City. Foreign-born population voting for, supporting a man who looks to uproot, change, revolutionize the entire system that he moved into, that attracted his parents to immigrate, and he wants to change it. To what? I don't know, what we're told is socialism. But this is the mystery box. This is the grab bag. This will be fun. We'll get to see what you get. Odds are, my suggestion is, you have some hints. Simply take a look at the UK. And that takes us back to who exactly is asking for this, besides the people that bring with them their values. And unfortunately, it is white women. You saw it in the No Kings rally. You've seen it everywhere you go. Who's the one taking their sons in to be chemically castrated to doctors? It's white women mothers. Who is forgiving? Who is indulging, by the way, the rhetoric of political violence after the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Look at the videos from the No Kings rally. It's a school teacher from Chicago mimicking it. It's a lady in a designer hat in New York. Looks like she should be walking around the Hamptons, calling him Hitler and saying he has no place in her world. And it is, by the way, those that are willing to forgive Virginia Attorney General candidate Jay Jones his violent rhetoric and continue to vote him in. We have polling as well. This time, the polling comes on the Virginia Attorney General's race and who's voting for Jamie Yaris and who's willing to forgive and vote for Jay Jones. Jay Jones, the man who fantasized about killing his political opponent and his children, put it in a text. Who's supporting Jay Jones? Well, let's just take a look really quickly. 94% of Republicans for Jay Miyares. 2% for Jay Jones. Democrats, 85% for Jones, 4% for Miyares. All right, let's go further. How about age cohorts? 18 to 34, 50 to 38 in favor of Miyares. Interesting, young people. 35 to 44, 40 to 49, Jones in the lead. 45 to 54, 43 to 46, Jones in the lead. 55 to 64 goes back in favor of Miyares. Moderates, self-described moderates, 52 to 29, moderates in favor of the man who fantasized killing his political opponent, Jay Jones. Black, overwhelmingly for Jay Jones, 79 to 5, but I want to focus in again on this. Male, 57% Miyares, 33% Jones. Female, 37% Miyares, 51% Jones. There you have it. There again is your women voting for the man who would fantasize about killing his political opponent, voting for a man who hopes to and looks at to under or uproot this entire society in New York City. You get what you ask for, and it's pretty clear what people are asking for in New York. It's pretty clear what is being asked for by white women. Let's talk about this, plus the new ballroom at the White House and the fact that peanut allergies are on the decline with the boys from the Ruthless variety program. Coming up on Will Cain Country. Michael Knight in the Militia asks, why haven't I been on Gutfeld? Pretty easy and simple answer to that. Michael Knight, the answer is I live in Texas. It is Will Cain Country. Streaming live with the Will Cain Country YouTube channel on the Fox News Facebook page, but you can always follow along at Spotify or on Apple. You can see during the commercial break and for much of the program, we have your comments up during the show. Keep jumping into the Militia. We keep bringing you into the show. I love your feedback. I love it when you disagree. I love your commentary and your observations, so we invite you into the Militia. Let's bring in Josh Holmes, Comfortably Smug, Michael Duncan, and John Ashbrook. They are the hosts of the Ruthless variety program, and you can catch them at Fox News Podcast on YouTube, wherever you get your digital entertainment. What's up, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, Will?
Good to see you again.
I don't know when you guys might have tuned in, if you got to hear what I was talking about, but, you know, I think that we need to address this problem in society, and the problem increasingly is obvious. It's white women.
It is the most focused terrorist group in America. There's no question about that. You mix a little tip-topper of Chardonnay, and it becomes explosive. And it is something to keep an eye on. There's no question. I think neighborhoods around this country have dealt with this kind of a problem. And, yeah. It's an issue.
I think the entire cottage industry of "We believe in this house, we believe" signs,
the Pottery Barn,
is entirely funded by liberal white women in this country. Yeah.
Do you know a single dude that would say, "Baby, I'm headed out front. What are you doing? I'm posting this in the front yard." I don't know a single dude. Now, they exist, but I don't know a guy that's like, "Hey, have you been on Amazon? Next time you're buying deodorant, would you grab me one of those in this house signs? Because I want to put something in the front yard." And look, I love white women. I love white women. But my point is simply that I can read the data. I can see what's going on. I see the videos coming out of the No Kings rally. I see the ladies who are just now openly talking about, yeah, Charlie Kirk should have been murdered, and who are continuing to vote for Jay Jones, you know, or who are supportive of Zohran Mamdani. I'm doing this in a punchy way, kind of to be funny, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. Like,
no,
Ashbrook,
not at all.
There's a real issue here with the way they're voting.
There is. So there's been a lot of sociological studies done on this. And historically, women, when they're in groups, they work on coming to a consensus. Men, when you have them in groups, they work towards getting to a decision. Frequently, you'll see this like in your relationship with your wife or something, where she'll be talking and you're like, so here's what you should do. And she's like, that's not what I was after. I just wanted someone to listen to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you get a group of guys together. You'll say, okay, who's the best team in the AFC? You're coming to a decision, right? So women along this, how it's developed, this coming to a consensus is kind of like a don't rock the boat. So if you've got, let's say, 5 women together and one woman has just shown up for one of these rallies and is like, did you guys know that Trump is a fascist? The rest aren't going to try to rock the boat. But the other problem is when you stew in that all day, you end up with the problem that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And on the dudes, on the who's the best team in the AFC, we actually don't want a consensus. We even like that there's going to be disagreement, right? That's what we're
100%.
looking for. We're not looking
100%.
for
Conflict.
like the female version of that conversation is over in 2 minutes. They all get to a nice place and agree somehow, some way it has ended up the Indianapolis Colts. But the rest of us go, are you kidding me? Daniel Jones? Patrick Mahomes is getting hot. Have you seen the Chiefs?
They got Rashee Rice back. I mean,
Okay, Will, I have a bone to pick with you on this. I actually tweeted at you. I tagged you in this, but I looked on one of the betting apps on who's favored for NFL Comeback Player of the Year. Currently, it's not Daniel Jones. It's Dak Prescott,
What?
which I think is an insane thing. I mean, Daniel Jones is running the most efficient offense this side of this century. And I just think it's bias against a small market team like the Indianapolis Colts and its favoritism for you elitists down there in Dallas.
that is the thing.
I think as a quick sports parenthetical, first of all, I don't think there's any pro-Dak bias anymore. I think if there's any bias anymore, it's anti-Dak. And he's having can we reach a consensus, ladies? He's having an incredible season. He's having an incredible season. Like Dak should be in the MVP conversation.
Oh my
and that's
God.
just
Wait, hold on. 3-1.
Dude, he hasn't thrown an interception in a month. He's thrown 3 touchdowns every game. They've got like a top 5 offense in every metric. Dak is basically playing the position perfectly. But he's stained by this past reputation that I think results in this anti-Dak bias. But Duncan, here's what I would say, and I missed your tweet. Sorry, I got to get more active on X. It's lost a little of its luster for me.
Land of the wolves, dude.
I don't check it as much. I know, and I want to see you coming at me, Duncan. I really do. I want to see that, but I less and less want to see everything else. Comeback. I think that what's happened there is too many people think of it as injury comeback and Dak's coming back from injury when the true nature of it should be coming back from anything. And I agree with you. I would not vote Dak comeback player of the year. I'd make it Daniel Jones clearly. I'd vote Dak MVP.
Well, of course, he benefits from the tutelage of KOC in Minnesota, who's, of course, a quarterback whisperer right up until the Carson Wentz experiment. But nevertheless, all of these guys come out of Minnesota and they become decent quarterbacks.
But this entire conversation, Will, is a demonstration of why dudes rock. Okay. This is why dudes rock. And this is why we're not going to like point to the wall and a live, laugh, love sign and be like, oh, you know what? Let's just get this together and talk about it. You know, it's like everybody's allowed to have their opinion. They're going to be different opinions. Everybody's got a different team. Everybody's for their team. Everybody, you know, like it's a very, very interesting topic that you bring up out of the gate here, and I'm really glad you did.
Yeah, I do want to have. Look, I want to have more conversations that we all know deep down is true, but for some reason unwilling to talk about it because it'll be called sexist or jingoistic or racist. But the truth is, observing the reality and observing the world isn't that. How you behave and how you react to it is. And no one here is going to take the vote away from the women. It's rather let's just acknowledge this trend and start addressing what's going on here. Right? Let's just figure it out. Like maybe like Donald Trump said, maybe should we just pause the voting for a little while until we figure out what's going on, until we figure out what's happening. Let's just take a break and just pause. That's a joke. That's a joke. Long dead Media Matters. By the way,
Susan
there is
B.
one
Anthony
lady
never
who's
envisioned
not
this, Will.
Let's just take a pause until we can figure out what the hell is going on. They're voting for Mamdani. Let's put a pause in this. There is a lady who's not seeking consensus. Karine Jean-Pierre she is unafraid to stand. Give her that, man. Give her that. I'm going to give her credit for consistency. Here she is with the dude, the man in the pearl necklace from the Bulwark. Listen.
I mean, he talked way less to the press than Donald Trump does. Way less. And he wasn't out there at all. He wasn't good off the cuff. He wasn't doing press conferences. Let's just be real. Like, he didn't do paid events.
Tim, that's not true. Tim, you're conflating all of it. That's what you're doing. No, you're telling me he didn't talk well about it. Then you're telling me he didn't talk at all.
He didn't do either. He didn't talk very often, and when he did, it wasn't very good.
Yeah,
he sounded very
maybe
old.
you weren't paying attention to what we were doing at the White House. But
I paid attention. I'm with you on the policies. I'm talking about his performance.
The president spoke to the American people a couple times a week. He traveled and did domestic travel and talked directly to the American people.
You hear that? He spoke to the American people a couple of times a week, just as much as Donald Trump. He was readily available, Joe Biden.
I think it is the case. I got to recheck the math on this, but I think it is the case that in the first calendar week of President Trump's administration, he opened it up where he did a Tuesday, what I want to say was like a 2-hour open press deal. And then by Thursday, he had another full hour or something of just open press. And he had eclipsed by the end of that week the total minutes allowed for open press in the entirety of the 4 years of the Biden administration. Like, what in the bloody hell is she talking about here?
She's talking about it over Tim Miller. I think it was Adam Carolla that posted, when they don't want to hear the truth, they talk over you. I hate that style. She just kept talking over him. She would not shut up. Just let's listen to his point, and then you can rebut it with your falsehoods about how often Joe Biden made himself available.
Yeah, and could you think of a more friendly audience to her than the Bulwark? I mean, the guy literally said, I agree with all of the policies, which is basically what Kamala said, which is what got her rung up in the ahead of the election. This is Mitt Romney's press secretary who is saying, no, open borders. I love the open borders. No, what you did in Afghanistan, brilliant. I literally just want to know why you didn't do more press conferences. And she wouldn't even have that. Karine Jean-Pierre, as press secretaries go, is unique because press secretary is a very hard job. It's even harder when you lie to people for a living every single day. And who was she lying to? She was lying to a friendly press corps, just like the guy she was talking to in that video.
Will, the other thing there that I find fascinating about Karine Jean-Pierre and how she's sort of positioning herself post the Biden administration is this is a person who was the mouthpiece for the failure of this administration. And she still defends Joe Biden to the hilt, but she also has written multiple op-eds and promos for these books talking about how now she considers herself an independent and wants to question the leadership of the Democratic Party. And it's like, but you're defending the biggest failure in modern Democratic politics to the hilt. So where exactly is the positioning of this thing? It makes no sense.
I wonder what she wants to do for a living. She got a new hairdo, and I wonder what she's gunning for here. You know, let's just kind of go through this, all right? Let's just go through this really quickly. 'Cause I didn't know the man in the pearl necklace was Mitt Romney's press secretary. Okay, he goes into media. He goes into media. Jen Psaki goes into media. Kayleigh McEnany goes into media. Dana Perino goes into media. Who am I forgetting? There's got to be more. So
Jay Carney went into be a C-suite guy at Amazon.
Yeah, that's
George Stephanopoulos.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. George Stephanopoulos, obviously. Good Morning America. Jay Carney, by the way, let's keep up with career earnings there. I want to know what the C-suite there in Silicon Valley is doing. I think that could be
doing
smart.
Okay.
Lawrence O'Donnell.
I bet he is. I bet
Bill
he
Moyers.
is.
And what was the fat guy, Gibbs? Remember Gibbs was the first Obama press secretary, and he went to McDonald's or something.
I think he did some industry groups, and then I think he did McDonald's.
Yeah, it was a good fit.
But that's the thing, and this is Will, you're 100% right. It's very telling because specifically over the past, I'd say 10 to 15 years, the exit strategy for a lot of Democrats, other than media, was these major corporate gigs that were just insanely high paying. You saw essentially the second Obama campaign, the re-election campaign. all of them, that entire campaign was basically then just bought by corporate America. They went to work for Pepsi. They, you know, you had Carney go off to Amazon. So they cashed in big time. It was almost like a given that, like, if you work for a Democrat at the presidential level, you're going to get the sickest payday as soon as you're out. The fact that Karine Jean-Pierre and the Biden folks are left out in the cold is incredibly telling of what a failure that administration was.
I heard that, Smug, and you guys are much more plugged into D.C. than I am, but I did hear that. I heard that the Biden people are not finding a welcoming environment in their post-governmental life. They're not getting a lot of offers.
Nothing. There's nothing out there for them in corporate America. It would look especially bad right now, where you saw on Trump's reelection, so much of corporate America reoriented themselves as being like, okay, I guess we were lied to. We don't need to be insane. We don't need to have pride flags and BLM flags covering our headquarters all year. They reoriented themselves to try to be normal for the first time in like a decade. So if they hired Biden alum, that would make them look still out of touch. So that's another reason they can't find a job. But the fact of the matter is, all of Biden's people were like fifth string, sixth string Obama people. They needed like 4 injuries to be able to get in front of a podium to talk. So they never were talented to begin with.
A lot of pup list before.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
She's got to end up at MSNBC. I forgot Sean Spicer also in media. She's got to end up at MSNBC. She has to. It makes too much sense. All right, let's work through a couple other things here together. Let's start with the redoing of the White House ballroom. I didn't know this because my algorithm doesn't give a damn. But there's a huge freak out. You know what? People are going to walk around in the future and be like, "What's your algorithm?" Let me tell you.
They
about
already
my
are,
algorithm, because that's what we're getting.
I literally already have this conversation.
Really? Yeah,
Yes.
we're in the post-viral world. I don't wake up every day assuming that my show staff has seen the same things that I've seen. In fact, I'd say over 50% of the time they have not. And it's not like, oh, because what I'm seeing is more important or what you're seeing is more important. It's just like, it's so tailored to me. So my algorithm, like I said, doesn't care about the White House. But everyone is telling me it's a huge freak out. Maybe best illustrated by Morning Joe. Here's Morning Joe.
Donald Trump, who promised that he was not going to take a wrecking ball to the existing structure, has taken a wrecking ball to existing structure. I got to say, Mick, it really is. It is hard to watch that, and it's hard to believe that any president could destroy the White House and take a wrecking ball to an existing structure so historic. That is what's happening.
Oh my gosh. It's by the way, here's Gavin Newsom saying basically the same thing. He posted on X, ripping apart the White House just like he's ripping apart the Constitution, with a picture of the demolition of the wing of the White House to build the ballroom.
It's funny because, I actually asked somebody that was a part of the White House Historical Society, and basically what their job has been over the, last 20, 30 years. It's just like retouching up paint and making sure that the exact structure looks exactly the same. But it's become antiquated for anybody who's been in the White House at all, either the West Wing or the East Wing. And not, not a lot of people get in the residence. I don't know exactly what every room in that outfit looks like. But it occurred to me long before all of this, is anybody going to try to update this thing? Because you walk into just like the West Wing offices alone, let alone the East Wing, and it's just not today's culture, right? They're offices that they were built in 30 something.
The East Wing some of it was like 1942, I think.
Yeah, 1942 or whatever. It's just not built for today's standards.
Right.
And of course, you have a developer who's elected president of the United States. He has a look at all this, and he's like, you know what? I can make it better. Imagine complaining about that.
It's insane. It's
real quick. Just point out that Holmes was like, for all of us who've been in the White House very frequently. But please continue, Ashbrook.
No, it's too good.
You can't. You know what? Smug can't get through because of his algorithm. It's a filthy mess. One Secret Service scan, they'd be like, "My God, you're not coming close to this building."
Hey, on that, really quickly, did you guys see the story? And I haven't done it in depth. Out of the UK, where a bank is now monitoring your CO2 footprint. So the bank, whatever your purchases are, it's got an assigned CO2. Yeah, for real. It's like a real thing. At least one bank in England is doing it now. So for every purchase that you make, it's got a CO2 assignment to it, so you can see what your carbon footprint is. But I can see that totally, Smug. Like Holmes,
go for the high score,
go
dude.
to the. Well, I want to, and everybody knows what's going to happen. They're going to do this whole, like, you know, what do they call it? Carbon, you know, credits and social credit score. That's what they're going to do. Right. So, but I can totally see, like, Will, you've been invited to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Oh, awesome. You just got to fill out this thing for your security check or whatever. And by the way, we're going to just kind of, check out your algorithm. And I'm like, oh shit.
It's like pressing the search function on your Instagram. Like, you don't want anybody
That's
doing
the one. I was getting ready to make that joke, Holmes. That's the joke. I was like, as long as you don't go to Instagram, please don't look at search on Instagram.
Like, it turns out I'm a heterosexual male who likes, like, big boats and fishing and airplanes and things like that. And then the other stuff, just ignore all that. Just ignore all that.
Okay, look, by the way, here's what you talking about updating. Mixed opinion on what you said. Because I am of this opinion, you know, Tucker Carlson's talked about it. My guy, Tinfoil Pat's big on it. I'm not into refinement culture. Sometimes I drive around at the new houses being built and I'm like, they all look the same. And in 10 years, they're all going to look super dated because everybody so chases whatever the trend is. And I get it. Everybody wants their house to be white now with black, dark trim and clean, modern lines. And your house looks like a museum. But here's the flip side. You got a president who doesn't think that way. He's kind of got a timeless taste, you know, which the White House should be. And that's an image of the ballroom, the rendering.
It looks sick.
And it looks awesome. Look at the big windows. Dude, tons of light coming in. As is Donald Trump. It's got a little French flair, you know, a little Rococo flair to it or something like that. But you can see the outside, too. I think it looks awesome.
And you know it's going to have a great speaker system so he can DJ every single night in that room, and everybody's going to love it. I think Holmes really hit the nail on the head. You have a president who is developer. Why don't you take advantage of that? Why don't you take advantage of a guy who has a vision for building? And, you know, it makes an awful lot of sense to have a giant ballroom on the grounds of the White House, whether it's a Republican there or a Democrat there. There's always a lot of security involved. And you bring in for these state dinners all of these important people from around the world. Why do you have to do that at the Hinckley Hilton? Why do you have to do that somewhere else around town? Do it at the White House where the Secret Service can protect them. Every single president puts their imprint on the White House in their own way. Joe Biden brought a lot of attention to senior citizens in this country and dementia and every other difficulty that people who are getting older.
It's ADA compliant. Everywhere you go, there are ramps.
Right, exactly. And Donald Trump is a developer, and I think it's a great asset, and we might as well use it while we've got it.
But to your point, Ashbrook, let's see. Obama changed the tennis court to a basketball court. Was it Nixon put in a bowling alley? Truman gutted the White House and redid the entire interiors. So this idea that Joe Scarborough suggests it's this timeless piece of American history and how dare he touch it. Well, what about all your other presidents, Joe?
Exactly. Scarborough, it is so dumb for him to say that because I guarantee you, as soon as a Democrat is elected president, Joe Scarborough is going to be inside of that ballroom toasting his whip.
The belle of the ball. He's going to be in there with Mika. They're going to be doing some kind of a dance. They're going to love every single second of it.
Standing in the room that Donald Trump built.
Yeah.
You think it doesn't matter, Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom? Should it be the case Joe Scarborough's on the A-list invite? Probably for either one of them.
Dude, if he's not, what is he doing?
Honestly, that's the only thing that matters to him. Because here's the funny thing is he's still acting up like this. And we reported first that after Donald Trump's election, Joe and Mika actually flew down, met him at Mar-a-Lago because they were genuinely convinced that Trump was going to have them arrested.
Yeah.
So they groveled on that day. Now they're back at it. I think he should just do it.
Oh, that's my troll. That's what I do, Smug. I got in a big debate with Two-A-Days Dan yesterday. Give them what they want. You know, if you're going to call me this, and I'm going to give you what you need here.
Bingo.
All right. I don't know how we're going to do this. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or on radio, forgive me. I don't have a translation here, but I do have a SOT of the president of Colombia saying, take Trump out. That's what he said. Just trust me. That's what he says. I'll translate afterwards. Here's the president of Colombia.
Misión es buscar la mejor negociación posible para los millones de colombianos que dependen de esos empleos y de esa economía.
La humanidad tiene una primera salida y es cambiar a Trump. De diversas maneras. Puede ser por el mismo Trump, la más fácil. Si no, sácala Trump.
All right, he says the easiest way is to change President Trump, or that's what has to happen, change President Trump. And then he says the easiest way is through Trump himself. So not Trump changing. And then he snaps his fingers and he goes, or get rid of Trump. I mean, I don't know what's lost in translation. I don't know what he means, but a foreign leader saying get rid of Trump, buckle up, buddy, because it's not going to be pretty from here.
Do we have a history of Colombians making violent threats that they follow through on? Like,
Yeah, right.
sounds like he wants some of what Venezuela's
Yes.
been getting.
Yeah, I don't know a lot, but no bueno is my first.
Yeah, there you go.
But look, I mean, I think that the American people deserve a little bit of South American beachside. They've seemed like they've got a nice plot of land down there, and this guy seems like he's interested in us throwing his ass out of there.
Well, I mean, like, this is an incredibly stupid thing to say when you've seen the way Secretary Hegseth has been solving problems with drones over the past month. Like,
Yeah.
way to stick your own head out.
Totally. All those Venezuelan boats coming north.
Yeah.
Yo no soy marinero. A real tough
Don't go
look.
fishing, Mr. President.
Yeah, right. No, this is the kind of thing, and honestly, we used to have extreme bipartisan consensus.
Yep.
I remember when Hugo Chavez went to the United Nations. This must have been like 2005, 2006. Dictator, communist, the worst of the worst. He shows up at the United Nations and he makes a threat towards President Bush. And at the time, there was a handful of extreme leftists under Nancy Pelosi's leadership. They were looking to take back Congress, and they were just hatcheting on any Republican they could time after time, no matter what. All of them stopped at that point in 2005 and said, nope, you're not going to talk about my president. It's our president that you're talking about like that. That's a serious thing. We're all going to stop. And you contrast that with where we're at right now, and you've got a guy who comes out and basically calls for the assassination of Donald Trump as a foreign leader. Where the hell is Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries on that? Do they have anything to say about that?
Yeah.
Like, where is your American pride in, I don't care if you voted for him or not. At some point, it's your president of your country that this person is threatening. We used to all get together on that.
All right, before we go, I want to hit two more topics with you guys. We can do them quickly. One, I just find this incredibly fascinating. It's in the New York Times, and it reads as follows. Peanut allergies have plummeted in children's study shows. Subhead reads, doctors have long recommended that infants avoid peanuts, but in 2017, experts officially reversed that guidance, and food allergies decreased sharply. I mean, so first of all, common sense, we kind of all knew that. We you know, this fragile thing that we're building, fragile children, fragile world. No, rub some dirt on it. This is the medical version of rub some dirt on it. Exposure to peanuts, exposure to whatever is what gets it. But there's another side to this. I'm curious what you guys' take will be on this stuff. And this is like the women thing, to be honest. I respect doctors. I like doctors. I go to doctors. I want their advice. But I don't think that we should be treating doctoral advice, and certainly large doctor advice, meaning like groups and organizations, as though it is religious dogma. Oh, they said it, therefore it is. Because the things that they say change. And they said this. They said, don't touch peanuts. And then in 8 years, they reversed course, and we've seen it totally reverse. So that's what this is like, takes me back to the RFK, vaccines, what's the latest thing? The circumcision thing? I don't even know. It's hard for me to keep up. But everybody else laughs at him and makes fun of him. The doctors go, he's insane, and we're falling apart. And I'm like, really? Because you haven't been perfect.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think if you're following history at this point, it seems like avocados and beetroot 10 years from now, everybody's going to say, like, that makes you spontaneously combust by the age of 35, right? I mean, there's been such a reverse course. The one thing that really exposed, and Duncan, you talk about this all the time, COVID really exposed the lack of authority. And we always assumed as a culture and as a society, because we value healthcare, obviously, we value doctors, we always assumed there were answers to these questions, that there wasn't like 3 answers. It wasn't like 5 answers. It wasn't a difference of opinion on things like whether peanuts should be given to infants. Like, there was an answer, a medical answer. And I think what we found out during COVID, Not the case.
Right. That there's like second order and third order things that happen when your number one decision is avoidance at all costs.
Yeah.
And that's where I think our medical community has really failed the American people on everything from COVID to things like peanut allergies. I mean, there could be like a class action lawsuit from every kid who had to go through middle school at the no peanuts table at lunch because they weren't exposed to peanuts at some point. Like Holmes, we've talked about this, but I know my wife did this. Like,
did you guys have that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had that. We had that in our middle school, where the kids like who couldn't have peanuts had to eat lunch at a separate table. Yeah.
I mean, they have it in kindergartens now. You can't have peanut butter snacks.
No, you have to have a sunflower butter.
Tree nuts.
Tree
They call it no tree nuts.
It's outrageous. And I know my wife, and we've talked about this, like you take that into your own hands. And you put the kid in the car and you go into the parking lot next to your doctor, and you got a spoon there, and you give him a little bit of that peanut butter, and then we're gonna go ahead and find out if he's allergic real quick.
I mean, that's 100% what I did. We like showed up in the parking lot and we're like, here, as soon as he could eat, a spoonful of peanut butter. Let's watch him and see what happens.
Really?
And they're like, licking their chops, and then they look back at you like, can I have more peanut butter? And you're like, well, I guess we're good here.
Yeah.
Ashbrook, how old are you?
Oh boy,
yeah.
73.
Violence.
73.
I'm 44, Will.
He was there when George Washington Carver invented this
you're
stuff.
young. You're young too. I thought somebody said that you were closer to my age. I'm the old man. Didn't grow up with peanut allergy being a thing. And I don't know how much older than you guys I am. Like, I'm 50.
Many
so
decades.
What am I, 15 years older than you guys? 10 years?
Many decades.
10 years older?
30 years older than us.
So in a 10-year time frame, that's how quickly it moved. I didn't even know it was a thing. We didn't have a peanut table. It wasn't a thing. And by the way, my kids didn't do what you just said you do with your kids. I don't know. We weren't thinking about it. I never even thought about peanuts.
There's also a missing piece of the puzzle that has to be addressed. This is also airlines being cheapskates. They didn't want to pay for peanuts because peanuts cost more.
We got those shitty pretzels.
And during COVID, the pre-flight drink, that's gone. They're like, oh, it's because of COVID. It didn't come back. This was a cost-cutting thing. So you had the airline lobbyists be like, oh, no, it'll kill the children if you eat the peanuts in first class.
It's a good point, Smug. Good point.
He never misses an opportunity to go in on the airlines.
Really quickly on the way out, this is a picture of the cherry picker, or the basket ladder. Oh, it's a ladder extender in Paris, with the dudes who robbed the Louvre in 7 minutes. Went in and then used some type of saw to get through the glass case, stole crowns and jewels and all this stuff in and out in 7 minutes. Gotta respect these guys. Gotta respect them. Really knew their craft. Really got it down. And I mean, let me do all the necessary. It's awful. It's terrible. Okay, but pretty awesome too. And what I would say is,
Pretty good.
so I love a heist movie, like love. If there's a heist movie, high probability of click for me.
Yeah.
And so the question is, let's go around the horn. Best heist movie.
For me, it's a no doubter. It's Goodfellas and the Lufthansa heist. And everything that followed with Goodfellas. I mean, just A1 top 3 movie of all time. I never turn the channel when I see it.
I mean, I would agree with that, but to pick something different, I'd say Gone in 60 Seconds or any Nicolas Cage. The guy is just like the king of the heist movies. There's a string of them. National Treasure. All of them are great.
Easy answer, Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh,
also one of the greatest.
It's up there. Which one?
I mean, the new
Pierce
one,
Brosnan,
Pierce
or the old
Brosnan,
one?
because he's so cool, and also it gave us like the best song, that "Oh Cinnamon, where you gonna run to?" That is a good song. Great song.
Yes.
Also, Duncan is 73 years old.
Yes.
I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
For me, it's hard to beat Ocean's 11. Or I actually love the movie. It's called The Heist. It was Gene Hackman in it, one of the greatest actors of all time.
I remember.
Always got to watch.
Yeah.
Always got to watch a Hackman movie.
Who was the young actor in that? Was it Colin Farrell, or was it who was the young?
I think it was.
Is Gene Hackman, and that
Colin
was a good
Farrell,
one.
Yeah.
Here's my nomination. Okay, and I think that they may have actually used that same song, Duncan. I can't remember.
Oh.
Inside Man with Denzel Washington and Clive Owen.
Very good.
Love
great
it.
movie.
You guys have seen it,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So good.
And I also watch
they use that song?
absolutely anything with Denzel Washington.
Yeah, the guy's got the string.
I don't care
So
what
great.
it is.
Okay.
If I see his name on the billing, I'm
real
watching.
quick
100%.
public service announcement. Real quick public service announcement. Me too. Denzel's in. I'm in. Don't
Yep.
watch the Denzel movie with the Spike Lee movie on Apple TV. It's
Oh,
horrific.
really?
It's really bad. The kidnapping movie, I can't remember the name of it, The High and the Low or something like that. It's not good. And I'm telling you, I love everything Denzel's in. It's inexplicably bad in
That's
every way.
devastating because I was just looking at that bad boy. Oh, okay. All right.
Yo.
Well, thanks for the heads up.
All right. All right, boys. Always good to see you. Ruthless Variety Program. What are you talking about? What should the audience tune over for?
Well, I mean, look, we got a lot going on. We're still government shutdown. I don't know if anybody cares or knows about it, but that's still happening. We had Tricia McLaughlin, the spokesperson over at DHS, talking about ICE, violence against ICE, some immigration-related issues, the challenges that they're facing, and interior enforcement on the program today. And then yucks. I mean, here's the thing, dude. In this particular moment in time, Democrats are providing more content than maybe they ever have. We just sit and play what they say, and we laugh our tails off. So if you're interested in having a good laugh, a little comedic deal there, then join the Ruthless Variety Program.
There we go. Spotify, Apple, Fox News Podcast, YouTube, everywhere. Check out the boys at the Ruthless Variety Program. Always good to see you. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks,
Thank
Will.
you.
Thanks, Will.
Take care.
Whatever happened to the cocaine in the White House? Well, there's a new documentary about it, and we're going to ask the host, Miranda Devine, coming up on Will Cain Country. The Italian Job, offered up in the Militia, is one of the best heist movies, and that was a really good one. Liked The Italian Job. Others are asking, like Betty Wheaton, what is with the fourth helmet? We have a new helmet on the desk. One of the guys who works here on Will Cain Country, Jack, is a Miami Hurricane fan. We are accepting audience submissions, so we now have a Miami Hurricanes helmet. I have been told that there is a Georgia Bulldog helmet, and Two-A-Days has promised a Notre Dame helmet. And I do believe it is imminent. We'll see a Horned Frog helmet on the desk. So I am I'm open. You can send in who you like. Put it on the table. You know what would be awesome if we had like a little Trump helmet? That would be cool, right? Two-A-Days. We'll get you a Newsom helmet.
Yeah, we'll
Which
get
one
right
do
on
you
that.
want, Two-A-Days? You want Newsom?
Newsom. You think I like Gavin Newsom?
You want a Newsom one? Kamala?
I'm more of a Pete Buttigieg, Gina Raimondo type guy.
Oh man. Well, Pete Buttigieg would need one of those ones with the big diaper on top of it that everybody's wearing now. You know, the
Now that's just mean.
the helmet diaper. What are we calling that thing? The helmet diaper that you're starting to crop up everywhere?
You know, just the CTE protector.
I have a prediction on that. They're going to get popular. I was watching a game this weekend, the middle linebacker. I can't remember what game it was, but the middle linebacker had one, and he looks like a video game character because his head is so much bigger than everybody else's, you know? And I got to thinking, I'll bet you that gets in style. I can't predict the style of the kids these days, but like the enlarged head is very video game-ish.
Yeah,
you know?
Romeo
And I
Dobbs
thought,
wears one on the
I'll bet
Packers.
I'll bet you that's going to get in style. Not in style. Answering the question of whatever happened to the cocaine in the White House. Seems like it should be an easy mystery to solve, but it has not. But there's a new full special up at Fox Nation. It's called Cocaine at 1600. It features Miranda Devine, New York Post columnist, author of The Big Guy and the Laptop from Hell, also the host of Pod Force One, and Miranda joins us now on Will Cain Country. Hey, Miranda.
Hi, Will.
So, okay. Whose was it? Who had the coke?
Well, that is something that the FBI is looking at. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino have opened up this new investigation, and I think it's well overdue because that was a mystery that was obviously covered up. We were lied to about it, you know, Karine Jean-Pierre was trying to tell us that the first family wasn't even in the White House, etc. And there's good evidence to show that that little baggie of cocaine was moved from somewhere else in the West Wing, in the White House. before it was found in that little cubbyhole where the cell phones go near the Situation Room. And, you know, the fact that the Secret Service was telling us, not just us, but also members of Congress who were inquiring into this, so many stories that just didn't add up. As Donald Trump said, it didn't pass the sniff test. And we need to know. And there is new evidence. Susan Crabtree from Real Clear Politics tells us in this absolutely riveting special that Fox Nation has put on about the ongoing investigation. Susan Crabtree from her Secret Service sources has said that despite the fact the Secret Service claimed they found no fingerprints and no DNA, there was an amount of DNA found. Now, the Secret Service has said, oh, it wasn't, you know, enough to do anything. It wasn't substantial. But apparently there was a match, a partial match with DNA that's on the Criminal National Database. So the plot thickens. Really? And I believe that it'll be very interesting when Kash Patel and Dan Bongino finally get to the bottom of it, because the cover-up shows...
Do you think they will?
Well, I think they might. I mean, the existence of this DNA is pretty significant. And, you know, the fact that the Secret Service, after 11 days, closed their investigation, destroyed that little baggie, and in fact, there was a forensic guy inside the Secret Service that refused to carry out that destruction because it was so against normal protocol that they had to get someone from the DC police to do it. So the whole thing stinks, and it's the cover-up. I mean, as with Watergate, it's the cover-up that gets you into trouble more than, you know, the actual sin of having, you know, snorting cocaine in the White House.
So wait a minute. There was DNA recovered, and that DNA, you said, matches some DNA in the criminal database? That seems like it'd be easy then. Okay, we've got a suspect.
Well, it's a partial match, and we're not sure how much of the DNA there is, but it's enough to have triggered off some sort of a partial match. So this is what Susan Crabtree's sources are telling her. This is not my original reporting, but it sounds pretty significant. Right. And Susan Crabtree is a fantastic reporter who has impeccable sources in the Secret Service. So I would back her, and I think that we will see, especially after this special comes out and enough people have seen it, I think there will be more pressure on the FBI to tell us what they know. It can't take too long to figure it out. It's not that much of a whodunit.
So you gave me a little bit of detail that I don't think I fully understood in the past. So I don't have a lot of experience at the White House. I've been to the Pentagon. So you go through security. I assume this is the case. You go through some measure of security to get into the White House. And then if it's like the Pentagon, then there are areas within the Pentagon, rooms, offices, where you're not allowed to take your cell phone. So there's cubbies. There's like almost like dresser drawers or whatever. Put it here. Leave it in the hallway, then you can come in the room. This sounds, I had always thought this was some kind of cubby before you even enter the White House at the initial security screening. But that sounds like that's not the case. So this person would have already had the coke in the White House. It wasn't like at the entrance of the area. It was deep within, and it was one of those cubbies outside of the Situation Room.
100%. And I mean, this is the most secure building probably on the planet. And someone has gone through all of that rigid, rigorous security screening, and they're inside the White House. And this is a little kind of vestibule area that you come to on the ground floor that's under the Oval Office. And on your left-hand side, there is like a cupboard. And when you open the cupboard, there are all these little square boxes with numbers on them and keys. And it's in one of the, and people just, you know, when you come in and you're meeting with somebody, you're not allowed to take your phone. And so you just pop it in there and you keep the key in your bag or in your pocket, and then you can retrieve it when you leave. And so what it appears is that this White House baggie was not actually found in that cubbyhole. It was found somewhere else. And in some documents that we unveil on this special, you can see these documents were obtained with freedom of information, but that whole section is redacted as to where the bag was first found. So this little baggie has been discovered, and then somebody has moved it into one of these cubbies, didn't lock the cubby, left the baggie, there's a photograph of it, just mysteriously sort of sitting perched on the edge, as if it's been staged there for someone to, oh, look what I found, when really it was found somewhere else in the White House. That's suspicious in itself.
Where? Do we know where it was originally found in the White House?
No, that's the question. But the FBI will know, because these documents that were part of the original Secret Service investigation state where it was found. But that location was redacted in the copies that we have through freedom of information. So, I mean, the investigators of the FBI, they know full well. So the FBI knows, absolutely.
Okay, they know. Okay, and
they know.
I would assume, Miranda, you may know this, but I would assume the White House is covered up in cameras. Like, I would just assume there's not a hallway you can walk down where you're not on camera. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but that just seems logical to me. So they would have the person who is placing it in the cubby, there to be found, on camera doing that, and then be able to backtrack that person all the way to wherever they found the coke.
Well, no. See, conveniently, that place in the vestibule next to the cubbies is a blind spot. No cameras cover it, right? So very convenient that this is where the baggie was found. However, what police, the late Bernie Kerrick actually was very exercised about this story, and he said to me it's ridiculous, absolutely preposterous that the Secret Service is using that as an excuse, because if you have a blind spot, you can still see a person walking into the blind spot and walking out of the blind spot at roughly the time when the baggie was, put there, discovered. So the whole thing is preposterous. We were expected to believe a whole bunch of lies. And I remember one very obvious one at the time. Karine Jean-Pierre was telling us all, the first family wasn't even there. They were gone. They were gone all of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This was the July 4th long weekend in 2023. And yet we knew that Hunter was there until 6 p.m. or slightly after 6 p.m. when Marine One left and took them all to Camp David for the weekend. So that was on the Friday. So, and I mean, Hunter has denied this. He went on a podcast recently. He said, as if I would put a baggie of cocaine into a cubbyhole. Well, that's not really the allegation, but he has denied it. And so it's kind of unfair to Hunter if it was not his cocaine, because he's the most famous cocaine user or former crackhead in the White House ever to set foot in there. And he was spending long periods living with his father and mother and stepmother in that place. So it's sort of unfair to him that you don't actually rule him out. You just allow the finger of suspicion to point to him. And what's also, I think, really despicable and shows you how desperate the Biden administration was at that time to try and hide the truth, they pointed the finger of suspicion at construction workers who were working in the White House at the time. Oh, it could have been them. That's so despicable. And I think it's another good reason why the public should be told the truth.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, you want to and you should. Logic goes, look at Hunter, look directly at Hunter, start with Hunter. But that doesn't mean it was Hunter. It could have been anybody. No. And that's why it's even all the more important to figure out.
That's right. It could have been, exactly. And, he's not the only member of his family to have substance abuse issues. And not the only member of his family to live in the White House at times. And I guess not the only person in the Biden White House to use drugs. So let's see. But, it was obviously someone who was so blatant and so arrogant that they thought they would never get caught, and so entitled that they thought that they could use cocaine inside the White House. Whoever that person is should never have been in the White House in the first place. It's very damaging to national security, and it is against the law in Washington, D.C.
Well, it's entitled Cocaine at 1600. It features Miranda Devine, among others. It's available at foxnation.com, and we appreciate you jumping on with us, Miranda, to tell us about something that I really do hope, and I actually expect that we should be able to get answers on. Thank you, Miranda.
Thanks, Will.
All right, there she goes, Miranda Devine. Check her out as well at Podforce One and the New York Post. All right, before we go today, let's bring back in Two-A-Days Dan and Tinfoil Pat. We got our co-host with us today. Saint is wandering around somewhere, hopefully being a good boy in the control room.
So you're keeping an eye on him.
I got to be careful. I am keeping an eye on him. Saint. He's down there talking to Scott right now.
Showing teeth?
Down the hallway. Should I shock him like Hassan Piker?
No.
Should I get him back?
I will end this show
Sit on
so
his spot.
fast if you do that.
I've told you I'm not. I mean, anti-shock collar. He's wearing one right now.
I know.
I think it's how it was used. All right, let's do it. Final takes.
Final takes.
All right, the most electric man in television here to host an episode of Final Takes. It is Tinfoil Pat.
Yeah, now I'm doubting myself. Did we?
He doesn't have anything ready.
No, we didn't have the saw ready.
What do you mean?
Apparently, well, I'm just going to share the story. So Texas Tech fans have traditionally thrown tortillas onto the field. I don't understand this tradition. I'm not a Texas Tech fan. Maybe we can ask Cody Campbell one day, friend of the show. But it is now banned. So Texas Tech fans will face suspension, be kicked out of games, not have their tickets for future events if they throw tortillas onto the field. What do you think?
Hate it. I don't know why they do it either, but I love that they do it. It's such a unique thing. I just love unique in college football. I love unique in America, but college football is one of the last holdouts for this, you know? I hate pansiness stuff. Like, I hated when the Big 12 made it a penalty for horns down, you know?
That's stupid.
We can handle it. You can do horns down. It's
you
stupid.
hurt your feelings.
But throwing tortillas on... Tortilla throwing is what they do in Lubbock. It's what they do at Texas Tech. And I got to make sure Saint's a good boy with Herman here earlier. Saint. I think he's afraid of you, Herman. I'm watching the interactions. I think you're making him nervous. He's showing Herman his teeth, and I don't know if that's smiling. He does smile, or if it's like, get away from me.
That's a dangerous line to walk down.
I know. It's like a mystery you don't want to solve in the middle of a show.
Yeah.
You know, I love that. What is it? Is it the Red Wings that throw the octopuses on the ice? I love that. I love that. So it takes a little time to clean up the tortillas. Big deal.
Yeah, you know who doesn't love that?
We're gonna
the janitorial staff.
Who?
Oh, Crimea River. They get paid.
Well, and they get that's job security two-a-days. Like, if there's nothing to do, no job. Got to clean up tortillas. There's a job.
You know, Connor, we should make it a tradition where you throw confetti into the studio there for Dan to clean up every day.
God, that's like glitter.
Yeah.
Cleaning that out for years.
The studio's looking good. By the way, studio's looking good up there.
Yeah.
Had Bear Grylls in there yesterday. I thought it looked pretty good.
It's looking great. I was asking for you for a cowboy hat so I could put it in the background, you know? I need a cowboy hat up here somehow.
Oh, you want me to send it to New York?
No. I was wondering if you had one in your office here in New York.
Oh, no, I don't. Actually, I do. You can go down there and get one.
Yeah.
I think there is one.
Because I just want a little
in my
studio
office.
dressing, you know? Like put it in the back of the shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Go down to my office and grab that cowboy hat.
Okay.
Grab the straw hat, not the felt hat.
Sure.
That's a family heirloom.
I'm grabbing
straw hat's good to go. Go ahead and grab that. All right, so keep the tortillas flowing there in Lubbock. Okay, quick and final takes. Good job, Tinfoil Pat. That's going to do it for us today. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. Will Cain Country on YouTube, Spotify. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Apple. We'll see you next time.